It says this, I know all the things that you do. You are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. But since you are like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of your mouth. My brothers and sisters, tonight, when Jesus did his evaluation on the city of Laodicea, this is what he drew. This is what he saw the faith of Laodicea had. Now, let me ask you, will anyone here tonight drink this water? No. No. Why not? Because this water will make you sick, will make you vomit. In the same way, when Jesus evaluated the faith of Laodicea, he found that they was no longer useful. So the key term I want you to understand tonight that hot and cold, that doesn't measure spiritual temperature, but it represents the volatility and usefulness. And like I mentioned before, the hot water was useful. It was used for healing and restoration. And the cold water was also useful. It was used to quench our thirst as well as refreshing to drink. But once the water reached Laodicea, what can you do with warm water? Warm water doesn't really have any benefit or any usefulness. In the same way, when we as brothers and sisters, when me and my brothers and sisters, when we become lukewarm, we have no volatility, we become not useful for God. So now my question I want to ask you tonight is, why was the church in Laodicea lukewarm? Let's read on with me in Revelation chapter 3, verse 17. And it says, you say I am rich. I have everything I want. I don't need a thing. And you don't realize that you're wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. So let's go back in time. So on September 8th, 2024, my brother Fred Asler, he spoke about the main causes of spiritual lukewarmness. And today I'm going to give a brief summary of each of the ones he spoke about. The first thing he spoke about was pride. And for the church of Laodicea, they have convinced themselves that they do not need God. What a grave mistake, my brothers and sisters, if we get to the point where we say we don't need God. When we get to that point, that's just the beginning of the end. And another point that Fred spoke about that was the main cause of Laodicea spiritual lukewarmness was that the idolatry. The church of Laodicea, they had made the pursuit of earthly material and possession priority over God. And the Bible talks about you can't serve two masters. You'll love the one, you'll hate the other. You'll be devoted to one, you'll despise the other. In the same way, the church in Laodicea, they could not decide. Here, they have everything they need. They were rich and have all these resources. But at the same time, they tried to serve God. They tried to do what God wanted to do. But you can't. You're going to love the one, you're going to hate the other. And my brothers and sisters, unfortunately for the church of Laodicea, they end up representing this dirty water. A third point that Fred made about the main causes of spiritual lukewarmness that was found in the church of Laodicea was they lacked the respect of warning from God regarding wealth. Fred said that we as brothers and sisters should not value ourselves based upon the possession we have on this earth, because they're only temporary. They will pass away. But rather, we should focus on the things that happen. Focus on the things that advance God's kingdom. Because where we store our treasure in heaven, no one can steal it, it doesn't rot away, and no one can take it away from us. And throughout the whole Bible, Jesus gives plenty of examples of what happens to people regarding wealth, the warnings regarding wealth. And I want you to turn to me today with Matthew chapter 19, verse 24. But for context, I'm going to read from verse 21. And here's what it says. Jesus told him, if you want to be perfect, go and sell all your possessions. Give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. When the young man heard this, he went away sad, for he had many possessions. Then Jesus said to his disciples, I tell you the truth. It's very hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. I'll say it again. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. I don't know about you, my brothers and sisters, but when I look at an eye of a needle, I'm like, how could a camel possibly go through this needle of eye? But at the same time, that Jesus tells us that even the camel can go through that, but it's easier for that, but it's harder for a rich person. Why? It's not because of the possession. I'm not here to tell you that there's nothing wrong with leaving generation wealth. There's nothing of pursuing your goals, pursuing your dreams. The problem is when we make that our priority over God. When we end up idolatrizing, when we end up worshiping that thing over God. When we get to a point where we tell God, you know what? I have this possession, I have what I need, I no longer need it. And once we get to that point, like I said before, we're looking at the beginning of the end. So, to give a more description of the verse, read it again with me. So it says, you say I am rich, I have everything I want, I don't need a thing, and you don't realize that you're wrenched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Look how Jesus describes their faith. He's described their faith as the complete opposite of what they thought they were. He described them, they thought, that's the thing about pride. Pride will make you think that you're up top, it makes you think you're bold, that you have everything together, that you don't need God. But like Fela just said this morning, one thing about pride is it'll humiliate you. In the same way, Jesus humiliated the church of Laodicea, because they put their faith not in God, but in their worldly material possessions. Let me tell you something about my brothers and sisters. Life without Jesus is a miserable life. Look at today's world we live in. We have people who don't know